Welcome to May I Interrupt, an eye care roundtable discussion show sponsored by Oculus. Each show, we explore questions in the world of eye care and other topics of interest with leading experts in the industry. I'm Jason Jedlicka. I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Craig Norman, who alternately hosts and participates in each episode. How are you doing, Craig?
I'm doing great, Jason. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, as always. So this week we are joined by our guests, Tom Arnold and Alan Glazier. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you guys here. And so just a quick bio. For those of you who don't know, Tom Arnold, Tom's a private practitioner in Sugar Land, Texas, practicing at Memorial Eye Center. He is the co-founder of ScleroLens Practitioners on Facebook and has built a reputation for technology in practice and social media, which is the topic of our show today. Also joined by Alan Glazier. Alan is a private practitioner also in Rockville, Maryland. He works for Kepler Vision and is the founder of ODs on Facebook, a group 41,000 plus strong on social media as well. So our topic today, again, is social media. And we have one other segment of the show of special interest to some of you. Our show is divided into 3 segments. In each segment, I will present a question and a topic to the panel. Each panelist gets a minute or 2 to share their pearls or wisdom, hopefully teach us something about the topic. The fun part is when someone makes a good point, I'm going to give them a ding, and that means they get a point. And so this is not just about teaching you guys cool stuff or good stuff for your practice. This is actual competition, and we're all competitive sorts, so this is going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully we have fun tonight with this. So if someone makes an off-base remark, I could buzz them too, and they could lose a point, but I doubt that's going to happen to Tom or Alan at least. As the name of the show indicates, interrupting will be allowed, but we'll save that for the speed round that happens after the initial comments. Hopefully you'll see how the format works. Hopefully this is a lot of fun, informative. We have a good time with this. Are you guys ready for round 1?
Let's go.
Rock and roll.
All right. Well, we're going to start round 1 with Tom Arnold. Tom, talk to me about social media. Obviously, again, you're recognized among the peers as, an expert in this. Talk about your practice specifically, not you personally now. I'm talking about your practice. How have you used social media to build it, to grow it? And what things have you found to be maybe most effective in regards to the impact it's had on your practice?
Well, I'm honored to be here today, especially with my good friend Alan Glazier, because he really is the guru and with ODs on Facebook. And I've learned a lot from Alan over the years. So cheers to you, Alan. It's really great. It's grown my practice tremendously. Early on, we started a Facebook pages page. I have 2, actually. One for my ScleroLens practice, which I call Eyes of Texas Sclerals. And then we have my practice. And like many practitioners, share general information, healthcare tips, some social media, some fun, highlighting my staff, highlighting us. Social media is the way to go. When I started years ago, it was direct mailers, it was yellow pages, it was price advertising. We do none of those things anymore. It's all perception and your place in the universe. It's the perception of quality and friendliness and competency. And social media is fantastic.
Awesome. Alan, same question. Take it from Tom. Any other things that you can speak to specifically about your practice and use of social media?
Yeah, so I got into social media. My whole MO was using search optimization to grow my practice from the late 90s on. And when social media got to the point where a search engine started using social cues to elevate your practice in your region for the products and services you wanted to be found for. So I had to learn social media. Everything I've ever done has been for my practice only. And out of the desire to grow my online marketing, which was low cost and almost free, I really zeroed in on it as an option and then kind of perfected it for me in my area. But one doesn't, for me, marketing wise, one doesn't exist without the other. They both play off each other. They're both super important.
Awesome. Craig, talk to us about social media and your familiarity with it.
Well, for me, my most recent experience, of course, is at the Michigan College of Optometry. And Jason, as you know, working at a university, it tends to be controlled more by the university level than anything. The actual reach out of the communication aspect is relatively poor, and it's mostly based on the website, and whatever the website can do is what is managed there. Unfortunately, that is not a lot of effort in pushing things out to patients or the community. It's waiting for patients interested to come to the website itself. The things that both of the gentlemen today talked about are obviously things that at the university level I would have loved to accomplish and never really had the opportunity.
So Tom, if we can go back to specific ways that you use social media within your practice, specific sites or apps or things like that, that you just found to be just real big winners for you.
Well, the Facebook pages are very, very important. We feature patients, especially in the specialty lens sphere, where we have special patients that we help them see, in scleral lenses. These are people that often can't function without it. And if they have a good experience and they thank us, we ask them to make a video. And in all the years we've done that, I've never had a patient refuse. And I leave the room, I let the tech take the iPhone, and the patient just speaks freely. And I just say, tell your story. And we put that on our social media page, and we share that with some of the other Facebook pages. I find Instagram to be very, very powerful. A lot of the younger people are on Instagram. And so that's how we get the word out that it's not just us talking about ourselves, it's actual real patient testimony. And that's been very powerful.
That's a great idea. Alan, same question again. Anything specific that you found to be really helpful for your practice?
Yeah, I have to agree with what Tom said. There's different platforms, but on all of them, the most important thing is creating content. For Tom, it's video content, which is probably the most powerful of all. There's also, text content, image content, creating contests and games and generating charitable efforts. These are all things that we try to do in our social media, but it can't be done in a vacuum. You have to have a network, or else you're speaking to, you're in a forest of trees and you're just speaking to no one. You really have to have people who are zeroed in on you. And the way you do that is where you post the content is important. You want to post it on a homepage, or for us, it's our website. And then you put it into the funnel where you post it, you create the link, you send it out to the different channels and drive all that traffic back to the home base, where you try and collect information such as a floating form where to hear more from us, give us your email, and then you remarket. So it's the cycle of content, sharing, remarketing, repeat.
And Alan, to go off of that, I've heard this before, but I saw some very good graphics recently about when is the best time to post these things. And it seems like midweek, midday, that seems to be a pretty dense area where your content gets looked at. Do you agree?
Yeah, there's 4 times that are recommended. 11 a.m., 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. because the West Coast is starting to tune in. And then between 9 and 11 at night are really good times to post.
Craig, any follow-up to these great comments?
Well, it's difficult for me to really build upon that. I would actually like to ask a question more than anything, and that is, when you are evaluating the efficacy of the website or your other initiatives, what tools do you do to actually figure out if they're working or not?
Yeah, that's a great thing. I really don't. I really don't. We should. You can't change things unless you measure them. I guess just feedback, likes and comments, but that's very unscientific. Wish I had more time to delve into that.
Yeah, if you're is it okay if I go now, Tom? If you're tied into the standard type of channels, you're going to use Google Analytics. You're going to run something and you're going to watch what happens, and then you're going to change it and watch again, and then kind of get used to doing that. There's also tools like Hootsuite and things like that you can do the same thing with, but they cost money, and we're optometrists. We're people who went into a career where we sit in a little dark room and measure tiny things. We're not marketers. So
Yeah.
other than having someone else do that for you, that's kind of harder to do.
I really, Hootsuite is something I've relied on for years. So I tie in LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook all into Hootsuite. And so we can do one post, one information, and share it to all three platforms simultaneously. I think you can do 3 for free, and you can add more, but you have to pay. Yeah. And so there's other things, Lumily, or there's a number of platforms like that. Hootsuite's pretty common and well known.
Tom, a quick question on that. When was the last time you checked that?
About what? The limit of 3?
That it was still, so they turned off, those apps turned off some of those fire hoses. So that they're not allowing you to do it as much anymore, and maybe not at all, especially to Twitter and places like that. So check on those and see if that you may have that in there thinking it's going out and it's not. Yeah,
maybe. I know they had a problem with Instagram, Alan, that you couldn't go right to Instagram. But as far as I know, I can still go LinkedIn, Facebook. But you're right. Hootsuite is not as easy to work with as it was. So they've tightened up. They've tightened it up. That's certainly true.
Jason, if I could jump in for a minute. Ellen mentioned Twitter. Where does that play a role in the optometric practice?
You want me to run with, if you could say who you want to run with it next, but let me run with that. I don't like Twitter for practice marketing. First of all, Twitter's more of a news feed, and things, if you have more than 30 people you follow, it cycles through there so fast that you can't really grab hold of anything meaningful. And if you're trying to get your message out in that way, most people have more than 30 people they follow. So it's one and done and gone. And you can repeat that message, but who wants to do that? So I don't love it as a tool for that. I use it to get information, not really to draw business from.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up round 1. Very competitive first round here. Our technological Oculus.
Oh, my Lord.
Alan slightly
my Lord. Well, he's the master, so I'm the underdog.
He's got some work to do.
Well, I thought this was like golf. I'm going for the lowest score.
Well, I'm setting out. I want to make Jason's hand bleed.
Yeah. Good enough. I'm ready. Bring it on. All right. We're going to go right into round 2 at this point. And for round 2, really kind of want to have the same discussion, but I want to focus more on you personally as optometrists. Your practice is one thing, but you also build a reputation. You guys both are featured speakers at conferences, you're writing articles. There's a personal branding that goes along with some of the things that we do for some of us who want that. You guys have obviously, again, used the social media to create your own personal brand around yourselves. And there are people who are watching this video show that are interested in building themselves a brand, if you will. And I'd like to have Alan start this round and talk about how you can use social media to create a reputation or a brand for you personally.
That's a fantastic question. So the
hey, that's no fair.
Anytime you compliment me,
brown nosing's not allowed.
Hey, Tom, quiet down.
Foul.
You're great looking. I love your sweater. Anyhow, the whole.
May I interrupt? That's a fabulous question, Jay.
So the whole thing falls under a marketing principle, a marketing area called thought leadership and social proof. That's another thing. They teach social proof at Harvard. Thought leadership is a way of building yourself as an expert in something. And you can only do that if you have a network. If you don't have a network, you have to build a network and draw attention to yourself. And the people I know in our field who've done a really good job of that without having a direct network have done it by writing articles and just consistently creating content. You think of Neil Gaiman wrote 700 blogs. Paul Karpecki wrote a ton before he ever got on stage. And these are also guys though who have a particular special competence in a very narrow area. So you have to be a master of something and not a jack of all trades. You have to create a lot of content if you don't have a network. And if you have a network, you can kind of position yourself for that thought leadership role, which is kind of what I did.
Great. Tom, other thoughts? You've done the same thing. You've built a reputation for what you do. And if you could speak to that a little bit.
Well, I think a couple of things. I found social media. I wanted to share my enthusiasm.
By the way, you're free to compliment now. It's your turn. So.
Oh, Alan, you are not Alan. Jason, looks like you lost weight, man. You're looking good there. Yeah, looking good. Yeah. Anyway, no, I think I use social media because Facebook, especially ODs on Facebook, which is very influential in my career, as well as the Scarlens practitioners, to share my experience. I was learning from guys like you, Jason, and other leaders in Scarlenses how to fit them, and so I was learning and I was sharing what I learned. I started taking pictures. And so social media was a way for me to reach out and show other people what I'd learned and maybe pique their interest. So that's what was important to me, especially getting started. But then I think it's important to be genuine, to be a real person, and to show that you have some depth. I love optometry. There's no one that loves taking care of eyes more than I do. But I love a lot of things. I love music. I love art. I love literature. I certainly love my family and my grandchildren. So I think it's important to be a whole person, to have extra dimensions that show that I'm not just some talking head with eyeballs behind me. I'm interested in a lot of things in life. So I think being genuine is extremely important.
Yeah, I remember our music conversations when we were in South Africa. Good time.
Yeah, it's fun.
Craig, you got anything to add to this? You have a reputation
I can't suck up to you as well as the other two gentlemen. They really have done an excellent job with that. But here's where I do agree. I think that by building content, and it's a more traditional means, of course, through publications and so on, but today it becomes multi-platform when content is built through articles and other means such as that. So I think that to me was the method that made the most sense, to be able to write articles, lecture in front of audiences. And then if that didn't work, you just start a meeting so that everybody comes to you anyways.
I'm concerned that people don't read anymore. I find even in the new, I look at my newspaper on my iPad, but so many of the articles are videos, and academic friends, Jason, you can speak to this as being an academic session. I'm told by my friends who teach that the kids don't even, I say kids, but the young professionals don't want to even read books. They just want to look it up online. So I'm concerned people, this is the medium. This is what people learn from, apparently.
Correct. Yeah. And I agree that there's definitely a movement towards the online and even just the quick bites, rather than picking up a textbook to learn a topic. We're picking it up case by case on ODs on Facebook or scleral lens practitioners on Facebook. But that's great learning. And people will ask me, I want to get started with scleral lenses. How do I learn? Go to scleral lens practitioners on Facebook and follow the great cases that are presented there. So, I mean, I think what you're doing is through what you are doing with this media is you're teaching thousands of people without writing a textbook or being in front of a classroom necessarily, but you're teaching the next generation just like everybody. So I think that's great. Any other thoughts on, again, using this media, using social media particularly to grow a reputation?
Can I ask a question of the guys related to that, please?
All right, then go ahead.
How worried are you about one's reputation on your online presence?
I'll let Alan speak to that.
Well, as long as it doesn't go below Jason's, I'll be fine.
I think you should take away 2 points for that now. I think
you did, yeah.
Yeah, good.
We're supposed to be funny, By the way,
hey, Alan, you can make fun of everybody but me.
Okay, I just learned that the hard way. I want you to change the name of this, though, from May I Interrupt to the Optometry Cage Match.
I'll work on that.
So the question was, how important is it? I'm sorry, Craig. How important is it to?
Well, how do you protect your reputation with comments and those kinds of things
You know,
that happen online?
that's a good question. So I do want to, on tying into something I wanted to say before, Tom is one of the most authentic people on social media. He's unbelievable how far he's come in a relatively short time and without a huge network. You know, he just did what he did and he did it. He was very real. He is very real. And he's a good friend of mine too. So I can tell you from knowing him outside of the industry that that's the case. People who are real, you know, you have to be immune to criticism. You have to have thick skin. You have to be yourself. You have to say it like it is. And you can't worry about haters because they're out there. I got plenty of them. I've had my life threatened twice because I kicked somebody out of the group. I didn't take it seriously, but I didn't lose sleep over it. It's social media. Come on, give me a break, right? But a lot of other things happen. You have to realize when you run a community that it's community that matters. It's the people that matter, and that you can't worry about yourself. You can't worry about what people say or think. If you think you're driving something of value to the industry, like Tom and I are doing, and then you have to be confident that you know what you're doing and you know what's best for that community.
I think it's important too, if I can amplify on that, not to be mean or petty or vindictive. If someone attacks me or is what my mother would call ugly, which I was never allowed to be, you don't attack, you don't strike back. And some people do, some people are, and the other thing too, and Alan, again, I've learned a lot from you, Alan. You can ding the bell now, Jason, you got to ride herd on your network, just vigorously. And people who are offensive and mean, you got to get rid of them quick. We do not allow shaming, flaming, bad language, nothing. We get one warning and then they're out. And in the 5 or 6 years we've done Scarlet Lens Practitioners, I think I've only kicked like 4 or 5 people off.
Well,
but it's important to monitor and ride the fences. Yeah.
I don't want to let the cat out of the bag on any kind of bromance we got going here, Tom, but you're definitely not ugly.
Let me add one more thing to that. I want to add one thing so people ask me, what is ODs on Facebook? And I have an elevator pitch I use, which kind of sums it up. It says, it's a place to share clinical and practice management and have a little fun, but not at anybody's expense.
There you go.
Absolutely. Here.
And in just 30 seconds or so, can you remark on what the online presence or reputation that happens on an individual practitioner's website? Patient makes a remark.
That's a good question.
Doesn't like the doctor, doesn't like the exam, loves the moderator of this program.
We would say, we'd respond with something like, thank you for letting us know. I understand your concern. I will be contacting you, to directly, So I thank them. I understand. I empathize, and I'll be in contact, and I do.
I do it a little differently. I give a course. It's called Yelp Help, and when you get a comment from somebody where they're not happy with you or they insult you, or we all take it very viscerally. It's like if someone insults you personally. This is your business. You spend all this time building it. It's first of all really important to step away from it for 24 hours and not react. Number one. Number two, you have to look at that. There's 2 types of people that leave comments. There's crazy people, and then there's people who actually are giving you you can crowdsource them because they're giving you valuable information, valuable frank information nobody else might give you. So you have to take accountability for how your business is running and realize you're not doing everything perfect and see, does this person have a point and do I need to fix something here?
Yeah.
Now, if that's the case, it's those kind of feedback, that feedback is unbelievably valuable. If they're crazy, you can respond to it in a certain way where you turn the lemons into lemonade. If you can answer them and make them look crazy for saying what they said in a really professional way, people are going to discount that review or that comment. And I remember my first review ever. Sorry if I'm running on here, but I got a 1-star review in like 2010. And the only thing they said was, I called for an appointment and they wouldn't see me. They didn't take my insurance. They wouldn't even take any cash. 1 star. And I sat back, I looked at that and I'm like, wait a second. This person was never even in my office. So anybody reading this, if I can point that out in a nice way, say, thank you for the feedback. Of course we take cash. We're going to have a staff meeting to address this so it never happens to anyone else. Let us make it right. Give us another chance. Even though we really don't want that person back, I'm not writing this for them. I'm writing it for the thousands of people that are going to see that comment. And then I say, by the way, had you ever actually come into our office, you would have given us a 4 or 5 star review like 99% of the other people do. And that's using social proof.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
You know,
That's
and
brilliant.
then you turn those lemons into lemons. Then people are like, oh, I'm not even going to pay attention to that 1 star.
Hey, you know, letting it,
What
you
does that
know.
mean?
That's the end of the round.
Oh, okay.
I'll finish it.
All right.
I thought you lift your left.
Well, I have a factoid for you.
Okay,
You guys-
well,
you-
since it's not Craig, I'll let you go with it, Tom.
Oh, okay. So you guys like music, and I know Craig, we all like music. Well, here's something I heard, I read several years ago from Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam, you know, my daughter's a musician. You get on stage, you know, and something's not right. You know, the bass is too loud, or they can't hear the drums, and they're all pissed off at each other. And Pearl Jam has a rule that after they leave the stage, they don't talk about the gig for 30 minutes. There's a 30-minute cooling off period where we don't talk about, you know, you sang too loud or something. I thought that's cool. Cooling off is important.
Didn't Eddie Vedder get that
For
bell?
that's for being a Pearl Jam fan.
Shouldn't Eddie
there you
Vedder?
go.
Eddie Vedder should get that bell, not Tom.
Oh, bro.
Hey.
All right, I'll
he's,
take
he's
that.
in he's in rehab. You know, I'm substituting
Uh-oh.
for him. Yeah,
I'll give you one. I'll give you a point extra if you can name their new song that's popular right now.
I cannot do that.
I can't do it.
All right. Too bad.
Sorry.
Dance of the Clairvoyance, I believe, is the name of that.
Ah,
All right, we're gonna bring round 2 to a close, and we've got one more round coming up. And this has been awesome, guys. Really helpful. Again, I think for anybody who really wants to grow their practice or their reputation with social media, you've given us some great ideas. But first of all, again, this program is sponsored by Oculus. We really appreciate their support with this and putting this all together. And I know that we're all users of Oculus instruments. Tom and Alan, you both have Oculus instruments in your practice. Can you tell me in 30 seconds just how you use them and how vital they are to the success of your practice?
I'll start, I guess.
Or go ahead, Alan. Yep.
I use a Karatograph every day. It was such a huge technology jump for me that I still, you know, a couple years later, I'm still learning features every time I use it. Having it piped into the exam room has been phenomenal too, in terms of helping me, you know, do a better, more efficient, faster job. But the images are crisp and clean. They give me angles that are amazing, and I just love it.
Use it for the dry and the topography and everything.
Yep. More for the topography than anything.
Yep. And
fitting the Ortho-K mostly.
Yeah, I love it for Ortho-K too. I agree. Tom, thoughts?
Stay with me. We use a Karatograph. We use it for dry eye workups. We like the mybomography feature in the GenBis report. We have a big TV on the wall behind it, and we can show people their meibomian glands and their various functions. Love the Pentacam. My first Oculus was a Pentacam. We do a lot of scleral lens fitting, a lot of scleral lens co-management or keratoconus. PMD, LASIK co-management. The fact that it's a Scheimpflug-based system, we can see the posterior surface of the cornea, very, very important for monitoring keratoconus progression, seeing edema, seeing swelling.
Yeah.
Scheimpflug's the way to go. I couldn't go without the Pentacam.
Yeah, it's interesting because again, at the university, we have both. And I think we use them about 50-50 because they both have such a good place for certain things. I really like one instrument or the other, and we end up on a daily basis is using them both all the time. So
Very user-friendly, very easy for the staff to learn to use, you know, not difficult at all. Great stuff.
Agree.
And easily networked.
Before we get on with the next round, I just want to bring up the score. Alan's pulling away a little, but Tom, you're definitely within striking distance.
Well,
Craig,
he's the social media king, you know.
Craig, you got some work to do there, buddy. Well, let's see. Maybe this third and final round will give you a chance to catch up here, Tom.
This is where I'm out. This is where I'm outclassed.
I'm feeling it now. I'm feeling it.
Here we go. We're going to take a little different bent with this third and final segment. We're going to get off of eye care and we're going to get on to recreation and leisure. And we're going to talk about something that Tom and Alan are both kind of known for. If you do follow Odie's on Facebook and some of the social media, and that's Scotch. Love the posts that you guys put up with what kind of bottle you got this week, or what you're celebrating the blizzard with something new. Actually really enjoy those posts. A lot of fun. And of course, Craig is here, and Craig drinks a lot. So join in, Craig.
It's
Anyway.
cold up there where
Wait.
Craig lives. It's cold, man. Gotta keep it warm.
Sorry about that. That was a bad one. Okay, so
Not really. You didn't hear me arguing the point.
that's true. So again, I am a complete novice when it comes to Scotch. Okay, I've had it before, but it's not something I could speak to anybody about with any kind of expertise or knowledge. So tell me what makes a good Scotch. If I wanted to, what the differences might be, if I want to pick up a bottle, to impress somebody, or just to sip at home, that's not out of my price range. Just give me some background on this whole thing and help me out here as a novice. So Craig, I'll let you go first if you want to.
Well, my questions are this. I do like single
Wait.
malt Scotch.
You're supposed to be giving me feedback, not questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, man.
Feedback was you didn't know enough about the topic to really ask any questions. So
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And so in particular, when I think of single malt Scotch, I think of peat. And I, for one, like the smoky aspect of Scotches down on the far right-hand side, however that's looked at. And I'm interested to hear what each of you have to say about that. And I'm in particular interested in, is Octomore worth the price?
What is it?
Octomore.
Is
Octomore.
that Austin
Hey?
Powers drinks in Octomore?
I don't know what
Oh,
that
that's the one they
is.
make from an octopus? I don't know. I never heard of that. Cragmore?
Craigmore, yeah. That's my family's
Oc-
drink.
Akintoshan? I don't know. Okay.
Let Tom go ahead.
Okay. Well, okay. I'm going to back up for a minute. These are all known as whiskies. And the word whiskey comes from a Gaelic word, ushkaba. So ushkaba is the origin, Gaelic, from which we get whiskey, the English version. So all Scotches are whiskies. And if you go to Scotland, where my daughter lives and the family, don't be a rube and order a Scotch. You order a whiskey because they invented it. So in America, we have bourbon whiskeys, rye whiskeys, and Scotch whiskey. So here you would say, well, I want a Scotch, and that's fine. But the real, in the homeland, it's whiskey. It's ushkaba. So Craig, that too, it's single malt means it's barley is from one unit, one distillery, and the barley is malted, and how that is after it's sprouted, how it's dried gives us its flavor. So if you dry it with peat smoke, it's going to have that strong peaty flavor, and that's from Islay and Jura and the Western Isles. In the lowlands, they air dry it, like Glenkitchy and Glengoyne and things like that. They're not smoky at all. In the highlands, Speyside and north, they tend to use wood or just air dry. And so the flavor depends a lot on how the malt is dried.
Very interesting. I think I like that part better than anything I care related we could talk about. So Alan, any other comments or thoughts on the Scotch version of whiskey, I guess?
Yeah, so Craig said that he liked the peaty, and and then I've heard a couple times, what's best, what should I like? Well, nobody judges you for when you like what you like. If you like a lowlands, that's great. If you like a highlands, that's great. And you can try them all and settle in on a particular area like I did. I started with the peaty and I liked it when I tried it. Over time, I found that I like less peaty and more highlands and Speyside particularly. That's where I settled in. That's the Macallans and things like that. So it's personal preference, but I will tell you, the more you taste, the more of a connoisseur you'll become, as in anything that you're tasting. And so find what you like and don't worry about it when anyone else says.
The other thing that to go along with that, Alan, is that how the whiskey is matured, in what barrel they put it in parts of flavor. Alan, you mentioned Macallan. Macallan is traditionally matured in a barrel that first had sherry in it. And so they call them sherry cask, or you could use a rum cask or a port wine cask. And so after the spirit is distilled, then it's put into a cask, and then we age it, right? We say, well, it's a 10-year-old or a 15 or a 25-year-old. Sometimes it'll start off in one cask, like a bourbon cask, and then it'll be transferred the last couple of years of its life to something else. So like a Balvenie double wood will start off in a bourbon cask and then be switched into a sherry cask for a short period of time. So you get kind of a blend of flavors. So the flavor of a whiskey is really determined by those two things: how the malt is dried and then what kind of cask it's matured in. And then you get into blended or cask strength, where it's not cut with water and has a higher whiskey alcohol content. So all those things go into the flavors of Scotch Scotch whiskey, and depending on where you are in Scotland, they'll have different flavors, just like French wines, you know. And so that's what makes it fun.
My understanding was that the barrels coming out of Kentucky are very popular in Scotland.
Absolutely, they are. Yes,
and
bourbon
you asked about cost too. It's the same thing with wine. You know, my friend who are wine connoisseurs, I can't tell you one wine from the other, but my friends who are connoisseurs, they'll tell me really great $12, $15 bottle of wines that match up with $30, $50 bottle wines. The whiskey's the same way. Matter of fact, I depend on Tom a lot to make recommendations on good, reasonably priced whiskeys, $30, $40 bottles. Several times he's hit the nail on the head. The one that I like the most, to me, the best whiskey that I can have consistently is Macallan 18, and that's an expensive bottle. Matter of fact, I got one in my car. I just picked it up before I came here for this, but it's more expensive. But I mean, the bottles run up into the thousands of dollars. So you find what you like, and you know, you can find things that are lower or higher priced in anything.
And to, again, this is a great conversation. It's a lot of fun to have. The other part of that, Alan, is age. You know, an older, you know, a 21-year-old or 25-year-old that you may pay $100 for is not necessarily a better one than a 10-year-old. Here you go. Here's my prop. Here's my
Tom,
prop
Tom,
right
tell us
here.
more about the 25-year-olds that you're spending $100 for.
No, I don't. This is a 11-year-old whiskey at Tomatin from the Speyside region, one of my favorites, Tomatin. Let's see here. Let me switch off my virtual background. There we are. There's our Tomatin, and you can see it's just a bourbon cask finish or rum cask. It's only 11 years old, and it's an elegant one. So age is not, you know, older is not necessarily better. It's to your taste. But one thing you never do is you never put ice in Scotch whiskey. Now, sometimes I do that in bourbon because bourbon can be a little hotter, and I like bourbon, but never, do not go into Scotland and order ice in your whiskey. You'll probably get beat up.
So if you buy a bottle of 18-year-old Scotch, how many years is it still good to drink?
Ooh, that's a great question. Alan, you go first.
Once it's in the bottle, it's the same forever, pretty much. I don't think they go bad like wines do, but it doesn't age in the bottle though. An 18 year is an 18 year in the bottle, and it's 18 years, 30 years from then.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. One thing I heard, Alan, I don't know, and Jason, maybe you've heard the same thing, or Craig, anybody, that's absolutely true. But once you open it, I have read, and I think people have told me, you want to drink it in about a year. You don't want some old bottle because it does oxidize. So Alan, I know that's not a problem in your household, so I'm not worried about you.
Nor yours, my friend, nor yours.
Awesome. All right, guys, I think that brings us to the end of round 3. Tom, quite a rally there. Craig, not bad. You actually saved me with some decent questions there, but this is our final standing.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, I knew whiskey
pulled it out in the end. the Scotch topic really was your forte, I guess.
And let me tell you what I don't like about my Oculus equipment now.
Okay. No, wait, no, you can pick on me. You can pick on me. Yeah, and I'm the scorekeeper. You can tell me something you don't like about me. That's fine. So. Awesome. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed hearing about the social media stuff and stuff that I had no idea you could do and did do. And I learned just as much or more about Scotch, and I'm like ready to go take a look at some different bottles and do my research. So I really appreciate you guys being here. Again, it's been a blast. Craig, appreciate your help. Way to round it out for us on the panel. And thank you also to Oculus for sponsoring this and helping us put this all together. So I'm going to look forward to seeing you at the next May I Interrupt. We'll have 2 different guests and 2 different topics. Thanks again. Thanks, guys, for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you, fellas. It was great. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Stay safe.